All right, Georgia Southern Eagles 2025 spring game is in the books, and I want to get my thoughts and opinions on it. I did not go to the game. Had a couple of other parties I had to do. Things always get in the way. You know how it goes. Nevertheless, I did look at some of the highlights. I did get some of the numbers, and I actually looked at the post game commentary by Coach Clay Helton. So I'm gonna give you my thoughts and opinions on everything that I got so far, and also give you my thoughts on where I think this team is going. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting video. Hopefully, you guys hang around. I really appreciate it. Before I get into that, though, I want to thank everybody who has been hanging around, supporting, waiting patiently because I took a step away from football. I wanted to get some things together. I also was moving. I'm in a new place. You can see it's a different setup like I usually like than it used to be, and we're gonna get back into it. Please believe it. It's just it's the off season. A lot of things that didn't go our way when it comes to the Eagles and the Falcons, so I stepped back for a little bit. But now with some interesting things going on with the Georgia Southern Eagles and possibly with the Atlanta Falcons, the commentary and the content will come back. So thank you guys for the support. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. We're going to talk about Georgia Southern, the Atlanta Falcons, and we also talk about the Atlanta Hawks over here. And give you my thoughts and opinion on all that stuff. Nevertheless, I said enough. Let's go ahead and get into this. First and foremost, I am very pleased on how the quarterbacks have performed in the spring game. All four of them who played, they looked pretty solid. One big thing that stepped out: no interceptions. No interceptions were thrown. Tyler Budge is the person that kind of stands out to me the most. Not much has been said about him in general. He was the backup for the bowl game, but what came about is he basically looked pretty good out there. He looked good. I saw a couple of touchdown passes that he thrown. I think it was a couple of touchdown passes that he threw. And like I said, I didn't get to see the game. I only saw some highlights, but the balls that he threw looked pretty solid. And for him to be the size that he is, it's kind of like a little bit different from J.C. French. J.C. French is a little bit shorter, but you got like what, two or three other quarterbacks that are like towers. I think Budge is like 6'3", and he looked good. Coach Clay Helton's son was out there. He looked pretty good as well. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". Then you had Charlie Johnston, who basically just came on to the team. And a lot of people are looking at him like the next big thing, in my opinion. I know the other Brian Weston is the other quarterback that's supposed to be there. But you got a pretty good room, yet again, a pretty good deep quarterback room. It looked like any of these guys could be QB1, so I don't know how this is going to play out. My gut feeling looks like J.C. French is going to be the guy. Tyler Budge maybe QB2, and the fight for QB3 is basically going to be there when it comes to Helton and Johnston. Now I think Johnston is probably going to redshirt, which I don't know I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I think you got a prospect in him that probably could start right away. But look, he just got out of high school. He just got to Georgia Southern in 3 months. I don't know that for sure, but standing at 6'5", 200 plus, probably going to be about 220 by the time he's ready to go. You're looking at a kid that's probably going to be probably one of the top gunslingers in the Sun Belt. Sorry, excuse me. And speaking of the Sun Belt, once again, and I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis because I don't know what the teams look like. It looks like this is going to be for the taking for Georgia Southern yet again, because I know that a lot of stuff that's kind of catered to the offense during the spring game, but I do believe that the defense is going to be just as good as what the offense brings to the table. You got some guys who replace Marquise Watson Trent, the defensive backs, guys who could replace Mark Stampley and others. I think we're going to be pretty decent because the guys that we did bring in through the transfer portal, and maybe some guys that are true freshmen that may step in. So I think the team looks, pretty good overall. Now, Coach Clay Helton also talked about that there was no turnovers, and that's one thing that he was emphasizing, because let's be honest, turnovers have been a problem for Georgia Southern for probably the last 2 years now. You can probably talk about the third year as well when Kyle Van Treese is here. I think he played pretty well, but turnovers were a factor in some cases. But to have a situation where this entire spring was pretty productive, and on top of that, you went into the spring game and didn't have any turnovers compared to last year. We had like 3 or 4. We got to be honest, it is a step in the right direction, but it's also just the spring game as well. So you don't know what you're really getting into until you get into the actual games. You know, we're playing Fresno State. You don't know how that's going to go going all the way to the West Coast. And I think what he's got to play USC as well. So it's a lot to ask for in the first couple of weeks for Georgia Southern. So don't want to get too far ahead, but you got to take it one step at a time. You got to take it one play at a time. And the plays that we see, could it build up to something that is, monumental where this team could go on a run? I'm not sure. I just don't know where it goes from right now. I mean, it's just the spring game, right? Last but not least, I want to talk about the running game. We didn't hear much about OJ Arnold or Badinga. From what I think I heard, I think Clay Helton said that those guys are not 100%. So Terrence Gibbs is going to be the guy. You got a couple of other guys that can run the ball as well. I would like to see Terrence Gibbs get the ball more. I think that he was one of the guys that was highly sought after. Once we end up getting him, he had an injury when he was at the University of Florida, a 4-star recruit. We end up picking him up because he came to us. And I think that was one of the things that we were really hanging our hat on to see what he can do. Unfortunately, well, I ain't gonna say unfortunately because it's a good problem to have. You had Jalen White, you had OJ Arnold. You really didn't need to use him that much. So you could have, let him rehab his knee, get that together. Last year, he saw some, he saw some time on the field, and that actually helped, so, he was able to play a little bit. And that was really cool to see for him getting on the field. But he said that, look, he's ready, and it's going to be interesting. So you also have these other guys that are playing the position as well. I'm gonna try to name a few of them right now if I can get to them. I'm on the website gseagles.com. Let's see. So, like I said, you got Terrence Gibbs. You also got Jason Anderson. Jamarian Samuel actually played a little bit as well. And look, he's 5'10". 5'10", 210. Pretty good size to play the running back position. And you also have Terrence Gibbs at 6'1", 205. So you got a couple of guys here that can run the ball. I mean, I haven't talked about Bryce Baker, Robert Edwards. I don't know what they're going to do with him. And then we still have OJ Arnold and Badinga. So it's like we have the depth. We have a veteran offensive line. You got a quarterback, or you got a handful of quarterbacks that can probably play right away. So based on the spring game, you can't really take nothing away from it as far as everything looks positive. It does. It looks positive right now. We've been through this a couple times, but at the same time, the times that we've been through this, we had a lot of question marks, and maybe we still do. But from what I feel like at this point, it feels like Coach Clay Helton kind of has the team that he wants. And we haven't even talked about receivers yet. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the guy from Auburn. I mean, he looks really good right now. The wide receiver from Auburn. He looks really, really good. That I think is Brown. What is it? Yeah, Camden Brown. I mean, he looks really good. And you still got guys like Josh Dallas still on the team. You still got Josh Thompson. You still got what is it? Marcus? Yeah, Marcus Sanders. Brian Green came from Florida. You got a lot of kids here that can make some plays. The thing about it is we just got to get the playbook rolling so these kids can make plays. And I haven't even talked about the tight ends either. So it's a lot here. And I think, like I said, at the end of the day, it's not much negative to take from this unless you just want to be negative. I feel like a lot of guys here are just on point and they're ready to go. And I think Coach Clay Helton is starting to really get the team that he wants going into year 4 of his tenure here. And that's usually how it is. Around the 3rd or 4th year, Coach usually get the team that he wants. and that's where everything starts to, take off. Maybe we'll be able to take off later on this year. We'll see. But I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Overall, um, there's not much to take away from the game. Looks like everybody looked okay. Nothing much to take from it. But nothing negative that overshadows compared to the last few seasons. So I'm here for it. Like I said, man, we're gonna start putting more content back on the channel. I didn't even mention it. The channel name has changed. It's VF Sports now, or where we talk about, Georgia Southern, Atlanta Falcons, and Atlanta Hawks. We're gonna be talking about all of those things, all of those teams in under this umbrella, and hopefully you guys will decide to hang out and join me as I talk about my favorite teams. Other than that, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys for making it this far. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.